Thank you for your service.
I like your bracelet. Yo, let's get on there. Let's get on there.
Let's go. Ready? 4 people. Ready.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here to Quincy's Memorial Day ceremony. I'd like to introduce Reverend Jack Swanson for the invocation.
There was once a great military leader by the name of Judas Maccabeus, and he led a revolt and he freed his country from the rule of a real tyrant by the name of Tiglath-Pileser and ushered in a period of peace. Well, years later, a prophet from the kingdom by the name of Ben Sirach, he wrote a book called Ecclesiasticus. And in that book, he just sung the praises of the Davids and the Solomons and the Judas Maccabeus and the fine generals. But he also made sure to remember the common soldier, the common infantryman, whatever, and what the gift that they paid for their country. So I'm going to share those words with us from the prophet today. And you probably are familiar with these. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers in their generations. The Lord apportioned them to be great and to have great glory, his majesty from the beginning. There were those who ruled in their kingdoms and were men renowned for their power, given counsel by their understanding and proclaiming prophecies, leaders of the people in their deliberations and understanding of learning for the people, wise in their words of instruction. Those who composed musical tunes and set forth verses and writing, rich men furnished with resources, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations and with the glory of their times. There are some who have left a name so that men declare their praises. And there are some who have no memorial, who have perished as though they had not lived. They have become as though they had not been born, and so have their children after them. But these were men of mercy, whose righteous deeds have not been forgotten. Their prosperity will remain with their descendants, and their inheritance to their children's children. Their descendants stand by the covenants, their children also for their sake. Their posterity will continue forever, and their glory will not be blotted out. Their bodies were buried in peace, and their name lives to all generations. People will declare their wisdom, and the congregation their praises. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one. Respecting all faiths, I pray in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please welcome Mike Norton to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the national anthem, and I'd like to ask Mallory Romanovitz to please come up and sing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the balls bursting in air, gave proof
Thank you, Mallory. As we gather on this Memorial Day, let us pause to honor and remember the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. Today is a solemn reminder of the cost of freedom and the debt we owe to those who gave their lives to defend it. These courageous individuals from all walks of life and backgrounds answered the call of duty with unwavering commitment and selflessness. They embodied the highest ideals of patriotism, courage, and sacrifice. Their sacrifices will never be forgotten, and their legacy will forever inspire future generations. As we pay tribute to our fallen heroes, let us extend our deepest gratitude to their families. They too have made the sacrifices and endured hardship in support of their loved ones. Today, we stand with them in solidarity and appreciation for their enduring strength and resilience. Let us renew our commitment to honoring the memory of those who have fallen by upholding the values they fought and died for. Let us strive for a world where peace and freedom reign, and where the sacrifices of our fallen heroes serve as a beacon of hope for all. Next, I'd like to ask Commander of the Quincy Veteran Council to please come up and say a few words. Allie Sleben.
Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, thank you for gathering here today. Annual Memorial Day brings a renewed sense of patriotism. And while today we honor the men and women who have laid down their lives in defense of our freedom, it's also a day to reflect and acknowledge the profound courage and enduring strength of the family members of the fallen. The loss of a loved one leaves a void that will never be filled. A silent testament to the ultimate price paid for our freedom. As we remember these heroes, let us also extend our gratitude and support to the families who bear the weight of their sacrifice, ensuring that their legacy lives on in all of our hearts and minds. Please remember the sacrifice of our fallen service members, not only today on Memorial Day, but throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander. Next, I'd like to ask past Commander of Quincy Veteran Council, Charles Hurd, to come forward and read General John Logan's order.
Grand Army of the Republic, Washington, D.C., May 5th, 1868. General Order Number 11, Article 1. The 30th day of May, 1868, has been designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. For this observance, no form of ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of strengthening and preserving those kind and fraternal bonds which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. And what better way to ensure this result than by cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their breaths a barricade between our country and its foe. Their soldier lives were a revelry of freedom to a race in chains, in their deaths a tattoo of rebellious tyranny at arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All of the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment, and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no wanting foot tread rudely on such hallowed ground. Let pleasant paths invite reverend guests and foreign mourners. Let no vandalism of adverse or neglect, or no ravages of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people, the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull, and other hands slack, and other hearts cold in this solemn trust, ours will keep it well, as long as the light and warmth of life remain in us. So let us then, at that time appointed, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from dishonor. Then let us, in this solemn presence, renew our pledge to aid and assist those whom they have left among us as sacred charges upon the nation's gratitude, the soldiers, sailors, and Marines, the widowed and orphaned. Article 2. It is the intention of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that it will be kept up from year to year while survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to call attention to this order and to lend their friendly aid in bringing it to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Per order of George P. Grogan, Commander-in-Chief, witnessed by Vice President Chipman. Thank you very much.
It is my honor to introduce to you today Mayor Thomas P. Koch.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning, everybody. Reverend Swanson, Gold Star families Caldwell and Durkin, our distinguished veterans, my colleagues in government, friends all. It's certainly an honor and privilege to bring the greetings of the city to this annual solemn event here at historic Mount Wollaston Cemetery. All across the land today, cities like ours, smaller towns, villages, pause. We pause today to remember those who paid the price. This nation is an incredibly rich, great republic that has been defended time after time, generation after generation, by men and women called to serve. Today we enjoy this beautiful cemetery, but it's the sacredness of the grounds are really because of the people who are buried here, those who are interred here. In fact, I would suggest when you get some time, all these war monuments behind us, they didn't have all the names from Quincy who never came home or came home in a casket. Check out those names. Every name had a story. Every name reflects a family. Let us be mindful of that. Just this coming November, a little further over, we're going to be adding another monument. That monument will be dedicated. There'll be 7 names inscribed on that monument: Persian Gulf, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the global war on terror. And that will bring to completion to date the sacrifice made by the men and women in uniform. Who knows down the road what will happen? But this November, I encourage you all to join us as we obviously honor and remember those that died, but also those who served. Let us also be mindful, in whatever faith you may practice, of the men and women who are serving from Quincy today, all across the globe, keeping the peace. Say a prayer for them and their families as they're away from their families. Their families endure much as our veterans serve. So thank you for being here today. Thank you, Christine, and your staff for the work you do for the veterans who have challenges. Thank you to Commissioner Murphy, the team here, particularly the Cemetery Division. This place looks magnificent. Appreciate the work, and I know they work hard at it, but it's a labor of love because of what it represents here. So enjoy the day, everybody. God bless.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to introduce Counselor at Large, Scott Campbell.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you so much for having me here today. This is a great honor to be up here, and I have been coming here for years with my family, and I think every year it gets greater and greater. And Christine, you deserve a ton of credit for all the work you got done here. So thank you to Christine and everybody who's involved. I just want to introduce our elected officials here today. From the school committee, we have Emily Lebo, Kathy Hubley, Courtney Portios, Doug Gutrow. And from the city council, we have Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Devine, Councilor Minton. From our state delegation, we have State Reps Taki Chan, Bruce Ayers, and Senator John Keenan. And also we have Norfolk District Attorney Mike Morrissey was here, and a great honor to have Congressman Lynch here. I know he had to shoot away, but thank you all for coming out. This is important for everybody, for all the families, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to ask Past Commander Dan Tinney from the Quincy Veteran Council to come forward and read the Gettysburg Address.
Gettysburg Address, delivered at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, November 19th, 1863. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met in a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to ask Mr. Kip Caldwell to come up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kip Caldwell, and I'm the proud brother of Sergeant Charles Todd Caldwell, who was killed in Iraq in September 2003 and is laid to rest in Wollaston Cemetery right down here. I'd like to start today by telling you a little bit about my brother's story. Todd was, how do I say it? Passionate. I think another word for it would be hot-headed, but let's say passionate. It sounds a little bit nicer. At a young age, I saw his passion materialize while playing soccer. I think that's why he always loved playing for Paul Bergoli, who was well known for his passion as a coach. Todd was fortunate to have a little brother, yeah, me, who knew how to tap into his passionate side. I remember that he loved making models, especially military planes and vehicles, you know, the kind that you actually had to glue together, paint and decal. To his credit, he would tell me, "Don't touch them," or I believe his words were, "You will die." Of course, being a curious younger brother, I just had to. I would usually wait for him to be out of arm's reach, wait until he was looking, not the smartest thing, and then touch the model and run as fast as I could. It often didn't end well for me, but somehow I survived, probably because I would hide behind my mother's dress. Not really proud of that. There were times that Todd's temper was a benefit to me. He was fiercely loyal to his family and his friends. The fights and arguments that we had in the house did not spill out into the real world. As the older brother, Todd took his role of protector and mentor seriously. I remember playing a pickup game of basketball and receiving a pretty hard elbow. Todd saw it happen and made sure that poor kid paid for it. I knew he would always have my back. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you. All right, get together now. All right, I got this. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that there was also a kind, loving, and gentle side of Todd as well. I can remember times when he would put his arm around me just to let me know everything would be okay. I have so many great memories of him playing with and holding his nieces and nephews, always with a big smile on his face. Todd joined the National Guard at an older age and immediately fell in love with the weekend adventures and camaraderie that he found there. He could have stopped, but after 9/11, he wanted to continue service. He was called into active duty in the spring of 2003 and deployed to Iraq just 2 weeks after becoming a newlywed. True to his protective nature, Todd was the driver of a lead vehicle of a convoy when his Humvee drove over an IED. Both he and the navigator, Sergeant Joseph Kamara, were killed in this attack. I'll never forget the midnight call we received from his spouse, the phone calls that I had to make to my siblings and parents, and the days of grief that followed. I do remember the support we received from our church family that's here, the city of Quincy, the Veterans Association, and our faith in God all helped us make it through. I have one particular story I'd like to share with you that happened as I was leaving to go to his wake. I had just sat in our minivan and was preparing myself for an emotional day, probably wiping away some tears. I looked in my rearview mirror, and my daughters were both looking at me, wide-eyed. My 5-year-old daughter, Sammy, said, "Daddy, why did Uncle Todd have to die?" I took a moment to think, how do you say this to a 5-year-old? Well, honey, there were some good people and some bad people trying to get them. Uncle Todd died to protect the good people from the bad people. He died to keep them safe. Sammy looked at me and then looked at her 4-year-old Jessie. I'll never forget her response. "Daddy, if bad people were coming after Jessie, I'd die to protect her." Through my new tears, I was quick to assure her that no bad people were coming and that they were safe because no one would dare mess with Mom. I think they smiled at that point. In preparing this speech, I read that Memorial Day is a day for honoring and mourning U.S. military personnel who died while serving. I think for many, the mourning part comes easy. A picture, a particular scent, or a model airplane can bring back the feelings of grief that we experienced years, even decades ago. The honoring part can be the challenge. How do we honor these men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice protecting our freedoms? One way to honor them is by telling their stories so their acts are not forgotten, like I just did with my brother, and then laugh and cry together. Another way we can honor them is to not allow our grief to overwhelm us. Did you hear that? We can't allow our grief to overwhelm us. John 15:13 states, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." The love that they have shown us in their sacrifice demands that we honor them by living our life to the fullest and showing the same kind of love to the people we come in contact with. That's how we can honor them, by living. Although Memorial Day is set aside to honor and mourn U.S. military personnel who died while serving, I believe it's also a perfect time to be thankful. So I have some thank yous I'd like to give from my family and I. Thank you to the City of Quincy, Mayor Koch, elected officials Christine Cugini, and the others who work to make sure our veterans are not forgotten. Thank you to the organizations like Mass Military Heroes and Wreaths Across America who work to support Gold Star families and veterans. And finally, to you veterans who have served, and I see a bunch of you around here, to those who are currently serving, and to those who will serve in the future, thank you. Thank you for your love and devotion to potentially lay down your lives for us, protecting us like a big brother or big sister protects their little siblings. Thank you for your service to your family and friends, your city and your country. In closing, I'd like to borrow an idea from Wreaths Across America. As you place a wreath on a veteran's grave, you're encouraged to speak the veteran's name out loud, thank them for their service and sacrifice, and reflect on their life. Today, I'd like you to take a moment. This is the interactive part. I'd like you to take a moment to think about people you would honor today. When I ask you to, I'd like you to say their name out loud. Be thankful for their service and sacrifice, and reflect on their life with a moment of silence. Can we all do that now and say a name that you would like to honor? The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you and your families and your friends peace. Thank you. May God bless you all, and God bless America.
Thank you, Kip. Just going to take a second, I'm sorry. Next, I'd like to ask past Commander of Post 95, Fred McRae, to please come forward, and he'll be reading in Flanders Field.
Good morning. Before I start, I would like to commend in the strongest possible terms Mayor Cope, the City Council, the Cemetery Department, the Park Department, and anyone and everyone who had a hand in making this spectacular tribute to our veterans. In Flanders Field is a poem composed during World War I at a battle in Belgium. The poem is composed by Lieutenant Colonel John Alexander McRae of the Royal Canadian Army Medical Corps. Colonel McRae was a physician, a soldier, a teacher, a poet, and an author. During the battle on May 2nd, 1915, a young Lieutenant, Alexis Helmer, a friend and former student of Colonel McRae, was killed by an artillery blast. In the absence of a chaplain, Colonel McRae performed a burial service for his friend. The next day, May 3rd, 1915, so moved by the events of the previous day, Colonel McRae sat on the tailgate of an ambulance wagon and composed the following poem, which is the most memorable war poem ever written. In Flanders Field, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky the larks still bravely sing, flies scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt sunset, saw sunset's glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold and hide. If you break faith with us, who die shall not sleep till poppies grow in Flanders Field. God bless America.
Thank you, Fred. May I ask Commander Sleeman and Officer of the Day Mark Conley to please escort the Gold Star Mother, Miss Durkin and Miss Caldwell, for the placing of the wreaths. Please remain standing as we read the roll call of our deceased veterans from the local organizations.
Albert Calpabianchi.
Absent.
Robert Carroll.
Absent.
John Coyle.
Absent.
Pasquale Di Matteo.
Absent.
William Guy Ferris.
Absent.
Brian Mahoney.
Absent.
Louis Malvesti.
Absent.
Richard Morrissey.
Absent.
Peter Morsillo.
Absent.
Luigi Louis Pasquale.
Absent.
Michael Russo.
Absent.
Ralph Ames.
Absent.
Thomas Buckley.
Absent.
Lawrence Kavanaugh.
Absent.
Edward Palmer.
Absent.
Please play taps. Please raise the flag. could be seated if you'd like. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Mike Norton, who will be reading the Governor's Proclamation.
A proclamation. Whereas, while the nation was still recovering from the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor the soldiers who had given their lives celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas, after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service of their country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last Monday in May is when people remember and honor the memory of all the men and women who fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. And whereas throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts residents have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life. And whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to country is an inspiration to all Americans. And whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts residents remember the bravery of those who gave their lives, so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore, I, Mara T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 27th, 2024 to be Memorial Day, and urge all residents of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston, this 27th day of May in the year 2024 of the independence of the United States of America, the 247th, by Her Excellency Mara T. Healy.
Great job, Mike, and thank you for the assist, Mayor Koch. I'd like to bring up Reverend John Jack Swanson again for the benediction, so please remain standing if you can.
Thank you, Christine. We need to remember we do not honor veterans today. Our day comes in the fall. Today we honor our war dead. Memorial Day is the most expensive holiday on the face of the earth. Every hot dog baked, every burger flipped, every spin around the lake, all has been paid for in blood. Let's remember that. And as Laban said to Jacob, may the Lord be with thee and me as we are apart one from another. God bless America.
I think the rain held off for us. It looks like it might start, so thank you all so much for coming today. Thank you for being a part of this day and remembering our veterans and our heroes, our brothers and our sisters. So take care, God bless, and this concludes our ceremony for today. Thank you.